Hi, I'm Karen Holton, ET and Angelic Experiencer, author, exopolitical ambassador, ascension coach, and content creator.
And I'm Joan Widen, clairvoyant medium, Reiki master teacher, energy healer, body, mind, and soul coach and podcaster.
And this is the Unseen Nexus podcast.
Have you ever truly wondered what lies beyond the veil?
Or want to learn more about our transdimensional neighbors?
Join us as we unravel the mysteries of existence, from profound spiritual awakenings and ancient wisdom,
to interstellar visitors, cutting-edge discoveries, and the complex conspiracies that bind them all.
We're on a journey to uncover the truth about humanity's extraordinary place in the cosmos.
Get ready to challenge your perceptions and expand your understanding.
Your spiritual mashup has begun.
And we're back with another exciting episode. Joan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Yes, we're back. It actually seemed like it's been a long time.
Yeah, well, a lot happening. A lot happening.
Yeah.
For sure. Out in the world, and I just watched the UAP, the congressional UAP hearing today. That was really interesting, and that kind of ties in with what we're going to talk about today, which is the earth flat? So we're not trying to prove it's one way or another. We're just talking about how we see it and what's out there and what we think is true or false or whatever. But what I thought was really interesting is this whole UAP cover up. Maybe the real reason they're covering it up is because it will actually prove that the earth is or isn't a sphere. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Joan?
Well, as I was diving into this, I was just like, I'm going to need more time to really fully understand all of this, because some of the things that was presented, I went, actually, that makes sense. But then there's some things that made me question, whereas, is this guy well-traveled or is he not? Do you know what I mean? Because I know he said he would, like, I'm talking about, what's his name?
You're talking about Dave Weiss.
Yes. And so this is my opinion, though, because he had said, hey, I can call my friend and it will be like noon their time in Australia, and the earth isn't, or the sun isn't directly above him, right? But I can tell you firsthand, being in the Philippines, which is pretty much on the really close to the equator, whereas Australia is south of the equator more. And I can tell you at noon, that puppy is straight up. So for me, that was like, not quite sure. But again, I have to go through tons and tons of research, more things, and a lot of, like, it really just kind of flips your mind. And I'm going, okay, you're right. But so the one thing that I wholeheartedly disagreed with was their knowledge of saying that belief is the enemy of knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? That is one thing that I totally disagree.
And why do you disagree? What about it do you disagree with?
Because it's not about what you believe. Like when someone says, believe me, bro, right? Or believe me, bro. That's not what I'm talking about. Everyone needs to.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Everyone needs to have the belief. But when that's like a blanket statement like that, for me, it's more of a, hey, believe in you. And with the belief that you can do anything, it takes away the limitations, right? Because we are like we are a being of God or the creator or whomever, which wants us to have whatever we want, whenever, right? And it's, again, it's perception. But again, this is just my belief because this is how I teach, and not that it goes against anything. But I find that the statement is more limiting than saying, okay, you know what? Believe in you. And yes, if you don't know all of this knowledge, doesn't mean that you can't evolve into whatever you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have a different understanding of what Dave said, and we're talking about Flat Earth Dave for those of you in the audience. I actually agree with him because for me, it wasn't until I was able to put my beliefs aside that I was able to then use what I call working theories. And a
Gotcha.
theory is more open to learning and changing my belief system, whereas beliefs are sort of rigid. So if I believe the earth is a sphere, doesn't matter how much you tell me, show me evidence that it's not a sphere, um, you can't penetrate that belief because that's their belief. But if you have the working theory that the earth is a sphere, and then data comes in that proves it's not a sphere, I can go, okay, and then change. And how I know this is true for me is because, to be honest with you, when I first started learning about flat earth, I became physically sick to my stomach. Every time I have my paradigm completely shifted, and it's like shattering of my belief system, my stomach tells me that I need to pursue it and learn about it because it makes me feel sick. And so that's just my take on it. So the thing that's interesting is we're not going to get into the actual factoids, showing the audience a flat Earth map and how air travel happens, and about perspective and all the things that Dave Weiss does such a beautiful job of explaining. Because there's no point. Y'all can go out there and y'all can do your own research, and I'm sure a lot of you already have. Like, it looks like Max has done some work, and it looks like Rodney is also, done some work, and Denise. And so those that are in the live chat today do have a bit of a basic understanding. But what really convinced me, and when I say I lean towards flat earth, I don't mean a literal flat plate.
You're right.
Almost nobody means that. What we mean is that it's not a globe, which leaves speculation that it could be of what they call the many ponds or many worlds, where the earth is in a contained bowl with a dome over it. And if you were to escape by going south in any direction, you would end up finding other continents, other lands, other oceans, that there's a whole lot more to our world than what we've been taught and what we've been shown with geography. But it also could mean that we believe that this is actually sorry, I just lost the word for it, that this could also be a sorry, my mind just went blank.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to read the comments at the same time, which is a good thing. Awesome.
I know they're amazing.
Simulation theory. That's what I was looking for. Simulation, where maybe everything we believe is real is
Or
a
maybe it's not.
simulation and we're actually someplace else. So there's that too. Yes,
Right.
thank you, Max. Simulation, absolutely. And there's many other theories too that are outside of the globe Earth. But what really shook me up, Joan, was that I went looking for proof that the Earth was a globe, and I couldn't find it.
And
There's
that's the
no
biggest thing.
photographs, there's no images. I couldn't find out what the circumference of the Earth was at the Capricorn Cancer or the equator. Couldn't find out those numbers. Couldn't, and that didn't make any sense. Like, we got all these highfalutin cameras out there taking pictures of outer space and nebulas and planets and Jupiter and Saturn and all this stuff. And then you find out they're all artists' renditions. None of them are actually photographs. So if the Earth is not a sphere, is a sphere, shouldn't there be some evidence? And I haven't been able to find any.
But
So I don't know what your research has shown you, Joan.
So if I were to look at that, even the thing is, right, you know that Elon and Jeff Bezos, they've gone up, right? And it looks spherical. However, when I was doing the research, and I'm not saying that like I don't believe it, because there is some stuff that, like I said, I really need to go deep diving more into it so I can actually understand it. Is where they've actually shown when they went up in space that it looked spherical. However, if you were to take, and if I were to grab my like crystal ball back here and send it to you, like show you and put a rock that's spherical or flat, shall we say, like in a round disc in it, it could look spherical. It would, just by the illusion of our eyes, what our eyes can do, right? Because the lights reflect differently. It's totally mind bending, but it's also one of those interesting things where, you know what, there is a huge possibility, and it didn't have to be that once you hit the edge you would fall off like Columbus thought, right? And I know that map you're talking about, it was found with the monks, right?
Out of the Piri Reis map
in Hawaii. So
I'm not sure if you're referring to the Piri Reis map, which was, I think, 1600s, 1500s, long before they had airplanes or aerial photography or anything like that.
And it has like our Earth in the center, and it's like, and then it's a pond, like, again, like a pond, like, and then there's all these different islands that go beyond what you would call our what's it called? Our atmosphere, shall we say, but it's not. It's still the same thing, right? And then the Antarctica being the ice wall that contains it, which, again, there is so many cool things about knowing and researching it, and the science makes sense on it, right? Because the science of it goes, you can't create a suction like without it having a flat edge, because we all know if you have a vacuum and you have a ball, and if the ball is too big, it will suction, or if it's not even quite tight, it won't suction it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think he was talking more like the gravity pull of it all.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not real sure, but
anyways, I just find it intriguing that, how I've always said, it's no wonder, how do we live on this earth without flinging around as the earth is spinning at an astronomical rate, and it's going. So again, I can't say that I don't disagree with it because there's so many things, right? So many things.
I think what came of my doing research into flat earth theory was it really helped to open up my mind to look at all different things regardless of the discomfort it gave me. So I myself do not believe that the earth is flat or a globe. I'm saying I don't know. I've never been to space and I have never seen it. Now, in the live chat, we've got people like Katie saying that there's hundreds and hundreds of images of Earth taken from outer space. Well, there might be, but I've never been able to find one. And the images that they present as, from the telescopes that are out there, the James Webb and all this, when you do the research into those images, you find out they were done by artists, or were done by AI. They are not actual photographs. So you would think, honestly, if this earth, I'm sure is very beautiful, regardless of its shape, but you would think there'd be tons and tons of actual photographs. And the only photograph that might be real that I've seen is of the earth as this tiny little blob way, way far away amongst a big picture of nothingness. And it just makes no sense to me how there's no evidence of a globe Earth. Now, I believe that we have very, very limited senses being human beings. We can only see a super narrow little band of the light spectrum. We can only hear a very narrow band of the auditory or audio spectrum. Our sense of touch, very, very, very limited. And as you know, being a clairvoyant medium, Joan, we're aware of all kinds of beings and places even that other humans may not detect at all. And so if you think about the fact that we're so limited in our sensory capabilities, there could be all kinds of things coexisting with us. And that could also include land masses that we're not able to detect or see. And the other part, sorry for rambling on, but the other part is I have found, in my opinion, that our governments and experts and such have lied about everything. They've lied about medical, they've lied about religion, they've lied about politics, they lie about everything. So why would I believe them when they so critically stick to indoctrinating us into believing that it's a globe Earth? So that's just sort of my take, if you want to know my personal opinion.
It is very like intriguing, that's for sure, right? And I lost my thought on it, but again,
it's complicated. Don't worry. We all lose our thoughts when it comes to this.
Karen, you have blown my mind with some of these things, and I love it for that because, in order to be a human, you need to explore every little thing. And that's okay. So perfect. This works in with it because, as humans on this earth, we actually are not allowed to freely roam the globe, right? So there are places on this earth that you cannot go, especially Antarctica. That's the biggest thing. But even in different countries, you're not allowed to go places like look at Area 51. You're not allowed to go there. Why? Why can't we go there? What are you hiding? Right? So there's all these things that can really make you go, And you're right. And you know what? The governments have said, don't believe everything that you read or hear. Right? They've flat out said it. So why should we believe them? And when things are constantly being retracted or redacted so no one can see it, not so, why should you believe?
Yep. Today, there's actually 2 hearings for those of you that want to check out the date. So today is the 9th of September. So if you're watching this on a replay, you might want to go and check out what's on YouTube or Rumble for our date that we're recording this. But there's 2, and one of them is the whole vaccination thing, the whole COVID thing, and
Oh,
the
yeah.
VAERS thing, and all of that is also happening. And obviously there's controversy, or they wouldn't have congressional meetings televised and all these expert witnesses if it wasn't of concern. And then, of course, there was the UAP one today. And so what's interesting about the UAP one is this time Congress is not fooling around. Previously, a lot of the congressional hearings were kind of like just lame, just didn't really get into much at all. Today's was different. Today's, they not only got into it, but the Congress people also promised the public that they would now subpoena the people who had the information that they're looking for and bring them to the next congressional session. So I thought that was all very interesting. But look at the diffusion there is around that whole thing. So for 70 years, they've been covering up the UAPs. And by the way, UAPs could mean many things. I don't mean to change the subject
That's
here,
true.
but UAPs could be, there's evidence that there's actually an ancient surveillance system here on Earth that was set up by non-human intelligences that actually has these orbs and these spheres that do surveillance that are actually protecting us from nefarious ETs,
Right.
or we don't know what. They're showing up all over the place. There is evidence that there are non-human intelligence that have lived on this world forever almost, under the ocean, under mountains, in all different contexts. And then if you want to get into simulation theory, even you could even cross over into the angelic realms where
Yeah.
these are non-human intelligences that also seem to coexist with it in this realm. So it's just this huge bucket of slop that we have to go through to try to figure out what's going on. And really, I don't think we'll come up with any definitive answers today. I'm not saying that anybody in the live chat or commenters or future viewers of this video, I'm not saying that you're wrong, and I'm not saying that you're right. I'm saying I don't 100% know what the hell's going on, but let's talk about it.
Right. And so, you say that, they are subpoenaing these people. But I'm going to tell you that that also could just be, let's give the public a bone. Let's throw them a bone. We're going to subpoena these people. But does that actually mean intel is actually going to be leaked out? Not necessarily, because then they could say, well, we did, but then what we found was actually we can't share. just
Yeah.
like just like we'll go here, the Epstein files.
There you go. There you go. There's another one. Try
Right?
to sort that mess out. That's another bucket of slop with some very far-reaching conclusions that you could make from it. And so I also think that maybe all of the things we've talked about on the show today and more is here just to confuse us, to
Right.
hide something else that we don't consider because our minds are so busy thinking about the COVID jabs and Epstein and is the earth a globe, and on and on and on it could go. So, it's pretty freaky to be alive in 2025.
Right? And also,
Mhm.
Karen, if you think about it, it's like a magic trick. It's an illusion,
Mhm.
right? So they're
Mhm.
telling you, and it's like, like they look what I found in your ear, right? Like
Mhm.
meanwhile, they just put it in, right? So it's one of those bait and switch type of things. And it really bends your mind until you can slow it down just a little bit so you can
Mhm.
understand it a little bit more and go, wait a second, right? Knowledge is power, knowledge is key. And this is where I differ for what that statement he says, because when you believe in you, nothing's going to stop you from finding out what you need to know. So the
Mhm.
belief has to be in you, not in others,
Mhm.
because you can't trust anyone else. Like, of course, there's a trust. We're friends, right? We trust each
Mhm.
other. But at the
Mhm.
same time, it's like you have your own mind, you have your own intuition, you have it for a reason. Use it,
Mhm.
right? So believe in you. When you feel like it's a bullshit for you, then does it mean that it is? Not necessarily, because like you said at the beginning, is it could be because of our own belief systems, right?
Mhm.
And when I was looking into this, I went, okay, well, I understand and I know, and I've been taught that the earth has always been round, except for Christopher Columbus when he thought it was flat, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, well, let's throw that out of the window and let's figure this out and see what I can learn. And
Mhm.
that's really, everyone needs to do that, is go, okay, I have my own beliefs, but let's just say, let's put that pile aside and do the research, right?
Mhm.
Because so many things come out of research, right? So many things have been found because of research, all these things, right? But if they just believed, and this is where I would say is the wrong, is because then there's no more knowledge. But
Mhm.
if you believe in yourself and you want to find a truth, you will find the truth,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
And it will set you free.
That's correct.
And another reason why I don't necessarily believe that the Earth is a globe is because, first of all, if it was a globe and it was spinning, it would be much wider at the equator than it would be at the poles. It would have a bulge around the center, and
Correct.
and yet none of the planets, including Earth, is documented as being in that shape. And then there's another reason too, and that is Flat Earth Dave has said numerous times and still says he will give away 1 Bitcoin to anybody that proves that the Earth is a globe. And a Bitcoin, I'm not sure what it's
I
worth
know it's
now,
a
but
ton.
probably like $150,000, maybe more. I don't know. So
But
there's another reason. But I'm serious, it's really hard. I did research for 2 years trying to prove that the Earth was a globe because I was so programmed to believe that. And it made me sick, physically sick, to think of it being something else. But it's interesting that once the illusions become evident, wow,
mhm.
it's like the whole reality shifts, in some ways for the better, and some ways maybe not for the better.
And so, that's interesting that you would feel physically sick when you
Yeah,
were
my
looking
body.
into this, right? And I'm
Mhm.
going to tell you, this is the least amount of feeling sick or anything that I've ever felt when I've researched stuff that
Mhm.
was kind of out there. The
Mhm.
only thing that's happened for me today was I woke up with a sniffles or something, right? But now, as we're talking, it's kind of miraculously kind of gone away.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I get that reaction. I get a very visceral reaction whenever my ideas or the structure of my thinking is shattered. The same thing happened when I started doing research on narcissistic personality disorder. I'm from a narcissistic family, very much so. But for me to counter the programming and understand what narcissism was hugely visceral for me. After it took me probably 2 years of doing research on that subject before I realized I was wrong, and that is exactly what my family was all about. And once I did, then I could start putting my reality together differently and in a better structure. So there's all kinds of things that, my body gives me a very visceral when it's something I need to look into. Before, I thought that that feeling meant I should run away from it. Now I realize it means I need to do more research. It's good to see so
Correct.
many researchers in the chat. I just want to
I
say,
know.
recognize everybody that's here, if that's okay. I'll just take a
Yes.
minute to do that. Of course, we've got Denise. Denise, I love having you in the live chat. You're a wonderful moderator, the best I've ever had. And I just want you to know how much I love and respect you and appreciate you. We also have Kristen Kruger is here today. Rodney Letman is here today. Max Weeks is here today. Oops, let's see who else we got. Mentioned Rodney already. Fearlessly Phoenixing, always lovely to have you in the live chat. You're a wealth of information. And Katie Callie, nice to have you here. And it's totally okay for you to disagree with me. I have no problem with that. And you've got your reasons why you believe what you believe. And maybe one day I will see the research that you've seen, and that might affect my take and my stand on everything. Let's see, Max, Rodney,
I think that's it.
Katie.
I'm
I
trying to
think, let's see, just scroll down a bit more, see if I missed anybody. No, I think I got everybody. Let's
think
see,
so.
down to right now. There we go. Kristen's back. Yeah, so I just wanted to recognize everybody and tell you how much I appreciate you being in the live chat, because it really adds to the conversation,
It
and
sure
all your
does.
points of view are absolutely valid. So I just want to make myself clear on that. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, and I was just gonna say, Katie Kelly, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to have your own thoughts and beliefs, and no one's going to say, hey, that's wrong. It's a safe
Mm-hmm.
space here. And again, that's your belief, and you have to believe in you enough for that, right? And it is one of those things where, again, like for me, I can't say that it isn't, because some of the stuff that I've researched and read go, okay, there's something to this, right? It's not black and white. There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of gray areas on these things, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's great to have a healthy discussion,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
can learn from each other, and we can understand from each other and why other people believe that, because it might unlock something that we go, oh, that makes more sense now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Especially when the sun setting thing, that, like, you guys, if you haven't seen his stuff, you should actually go check it out, really, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I would say if you have never delved into flat earth theory, I highly recommend it. Because, sorry, it's so
okay.
much more than is the earth flat. It gets into simulation theory. It gets into Tartaria and old worlds that are scrubbed from our history. It gets into the mud floods. It gets into so many different things. Once you lift that lid off the slot pot, holy smokes, you find all kinds of things that you never considered before. And I've really enjoyed going down those different rabbit holes and seeing things from very different perspectives. Oops, Daryl's joined us. Hello, Daryl. Nice to
Hello,
see you.
Daryl.
So glad you're here today.
You're right. And even if if for in my world, right, the psychic, clairvoyant, medium, and mediumship kind of world, once you've
Mm-hmm.
unmasked that, sometimes like it's literally the lid can't stay off or can't stay on because it's mind-blowing. And yeah, so like sometimes it's intriguing to give a reading to someone that doesn't really believe it and they're trying to prove you wrong.
Yeah,
And
that
then,
happens.
right? And then you have one piece that goes, and then it's like game over for them because they're like, now I don't even know what's up or what's down.
Well, quite literally, for me, it's like jumping off a cliff without a parachute
Correct.
and free falling. And it's terrifying. And, grasping at roots and things to try to stop our descent. And yet there's really nothing to stop your descent. And then in the end, as you would find out from university professors and such, they all say what's real is what you believe. What you believe is literally what's real.
Correct.
And at first I thought, how can that be? Because her over there, she believes this, and they over there believe in that. But then see, some of this is also from being the product of a narcissistic family where you're not given any validity to the theories you have or the way that you see the world, because only your parents have the right way of seeing things. I'm sure a lot of people out there in the audience can have a similar situation where you thought what your parents believed was the truth, absolutely, capital T. Oh my God, let's use the illustration of religion. And I'm not putting any religion down. I mean, if religion works for you guys, awesome. But for me, I found it crazy making how you go to one religion and they say, this is the way it is. This is truth with a capital T. These are the rules and you have to follow them or you're going to miss out. You go across the street to another church, they got a different set of rules. They got a different truth with a capital T. Now, there are thousands and thousands of Christian religions. There are thousands and thousands of Muslim religions. A lot of people in the West don't realize that. They think there's only one Muslim religion. Oh no. And then you take in the whole Hindu thing, right? And on it goes. It isn't until you get into the philosophies like Buddhism that you're given wiggle room to make up for yourself, what's real and what's not. So I'm just saying, on a grand scale, all this stuff, and then what we're taught with by politicians as being true, oh my God, it's crazy making land,
Exactly.
and it's getting crazier and crazier. So, yeah, sorry, I don't know where I was going with that. Go ahead.
I'm going to say, speaking of India, isn't that where they have that giant cube that they walk around?
That would be the Muslims, yeah, and
Yeah.
that's in, I don't know, is that in, I think it's all in the
Or
same,
in Pakistan. It's
I think it's
in there.
all in the same little small area. You've got a church, a Christian church built because that was supposed to be where Christ was
Mecca. Okay.
crucified. Yes, Mecca. Then you've got the Mecca from the Muslims. You've got all the major religions have a stake on this one little area. And yeah.
And okay, so here, one thing is what I went, and it totally makes sense. So you know how Catholics make the sign of the cross? I won't, because I don't. I believe in what they're saying with this is when you make the sign of the cross, you go like this, right? And then you do the shoulder to shoulder. But so this to here, so your spirit, your soul star spirit, you're connecting that to your heart, which is what you need to do for your intuition. But when you make the sign of the cross, right? So the Father, the Son, and when you say the Holy Ghost across, that's you're cutting off the line. You're cut, so you make the connection, but at the same time, then you're like cutting it physically, energetically. So then you are no longer connected spiritually through to your heart. And
That's interesting.
right? And I was just
Mhm.
like mind blown. That totally makes sense, because when you do that and you walk into a church,
Mhm.
it cuts you off, right? So it cuts it off. So now you're focused on what the priest says and the homily and all that stuff. Anyways, I
Mhm.
digress. But like I just thought, hey, this is kind of interesting and we should say it, right? Because it literally it makes people cut off the chakras and the flow so that
Mhm.
you have no, like, your intuition is left at the door,
Mhm.
so that you're sitting there focused right here, right now.
Mhm. And I think it begs to say that I think the thing that's important is not whether you go to this church or that church, whether you believe the earth is flat or a globe, whether you believe ETs are extraterrestrial or cryptid terrestrial, and on it goes. I think what really matters is what kind of person am I? What kind of person am I? A
Right.
lot of people are afraid of a lot of things, but the atrocities that humans have done to other humans, and I don't even want to get started on the list because it's too long. We'd be here for 4 hours. But, I think it matters what kind of a person you want to be, the person that you're actively trying to become. None of us are perfect. We all screw up. We all make mistakes, and we're all kind of damaged goods. If it isn't from the system, it's from our parenting or something else, right?
Yep.
And so what are we doing? What are we doing with our life? Do we see our lives as being precious, short, pretty scarce, really? I mean, I'm almost 70, and most of the people that I have known in my life are dead already. I'm lucky I'm still here. I don't know why. I'm a tough old gizzard, I guess. But but I think that is what's important, and so I'm not going to hammer any of you out there with a hammer saying you have to believe what I
Right.
believe. Not at all. If you saw everything I have seen, you might believe what I believe, you might not. If I saw everything through your eyes, I might believe what you believe, or maybe not. But I think that is what's important, and that's a frequency thing. I think you might
Right.
agree with me, Joan. That's a frequency thing. That's about raising our frequency and becoming something truly beautiful on the inside, the outside, and the different layers of us that we may or may not even recognize, our soul, our spirit, our body, our mind, our emotions. Anyway, what have you got to say to all
Everything
that,
is
Joan?
just, it's really perception, right? It's your
Mm-hmm.
perception. And our perception of when we were little is our parents were God. Our
Mm,
parents were king, right? King and queen. And we had to listen to them. Otherwise, there would be consequences, right?
mm-hmm,
And when, for me, I would look at it as they did the best that they thought they
mm-hmm,
could do with all the knowledge that they were given, passed down to their parents, right? And
mm-hmm,
so on and so
mm-hmm,
on. So
mm-hmm,
again, it's perception, and it's it's about keeping an open mind and seeing for you, seeing and going, okay, well, I'm not used to that because when I grew up, things were a little bit different. But if you
mm-hmm,
go, okay, well, you know what, that was what I know, I'm always open for something. And you wouldn't believe, you can't believe all the new things that you actually come to you and you can
mm-hmm,
see, because when you have an open mind, your heart is open. And when your heart's open, you're like a magnet for things. Things
mm-hmm.
just show you good, bad, indifferent, right? And if we deem it bad, it's because it's our perception as we labeled it bad,
Mhm,
right?
mhm. Absolutely. And I also think that any controversy is an opportunity to raise ourselves up to another level. It gives us an opportunity to be patient with each other, to still love each other, regardless of the stance that we want to take. I know I sound a bit preachy. I'm sorry. I don't mean to, but this is just what I have learned in my own life journey. We don't have to have conflict. We can if we want, but there is a place beyond conflict where we can actually rationally discuss things, and we can say, well, see, this is what I learned, and this is how I came to see it. And someone else will go, isn't it interesting? And so we can all get more harmonious, I think. And I think that is the primary way that we're going to bring peace and love to this planet. I think we're going to have to do it. We can't wait for the experts and the politicians and the religious leaders and all of that to come out and say, okay, or AI, that's another whole kettle of fish we got to dive into on another episode. Boy,
yeah.
That's juicy, right?
So
yeah,
again, it's like Daryl says, it's like things that make you go, and
yeah.
So speaking of things, let's talk about the Antarctica Treaty.
Okay, yes, let's get back to our topic. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That is, I find that intriguing because it's for, what did they say? It was for peace and science, and that all the countries agree to this, but at the same time,
they can't agree on anything else.
That's correct.
I'm sorry. I had to throw that in.
No, you're right. They can't agree on anything, and everyone's still trying to get the power over one another. So the whole premise of the Antarctica Treaty for being peace and science is kind of BS.
And you know what else is interesting is if you look at them on a globe Earth map, it shows them here and there and scattered about in Antarctica. But when you look at them on a flat Earth map, they are evenly spaced around the ice wall, all the way around, containing our reality. And when you believe in a globe Earth, there's scarcity, nationalism, all these struggles, right? And when you go to a flat Earth model, you go, well, maybe resources aren't scarce. Maybe this isn't all there really is. Maybe there are other things. Maybe the extraterrestrials are actually from these other worlds on the other side of the ice wall. Like even the book that I wrote about my extraterrestrial contact is about transdimensional beings. And when you go the transdimensional route, it applies regardless of whatever shape you believe the earth to be, or constitution, or whether it's a simulation or not. It still applies. And now they're finally coming to the realization that a lot of contact is transdimensional, which overlaps with your world as a clairvoyant medium as well, Joan.
Well, because everything is vast and there is no end. It's infinite, right? So all of that, right? And so also reading in this, I'm going to say, people have been coming out saying, and I've always thought this anyways, that the moon landings were nonsense, right? That it's impossible and that it was a hoax, right? Is what things are coming out now. And even Mr. Musk has said, it doesn't matter how much I try, I cannot get to the moon. I needed to get, I might be able to get there, but no one's coming home. Right? And so, and he goes, and that's the technology today. So when did we land? In the 60s, or I can't remember.
Yeah, I think in the 60s or early 70s at the latest. Yeah.
right? Like,
So how did they get past the
how?
Van Allen radiation belt when they can't get through it now? How did they
Correct.
do that? And then you take the size of computers back then compared to now. How did they fit all that equipment on board, right?
Right.
Who was
Right.
taking the film? Who was taking the pictures and the filming all the stuff from the outside? It just goes on and on. We'll have to do an episode on that too.
It's
That's
just
another
like a
another
deep dive
juicy
of
one.
stuff.
Yeah. And again, we've been lied to so much. There's so much illusion and delusion. It's crazy making. And so I do think we have to come to our own conclusions that satisfy us, at least for now. And like I said, I don't have beliefs. I have working theories as much as possible. That way, when new information comes in, I can adjust my theory instead of it being too rock solid, as we
Right.
discussed at the very beginning. With a belief can be kind of solid, do you know what I mean? And not
Yes.
as flexible. And I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong, Joan, not at all. I think you're right and I'm right. We're seeing things from different perspectives, which is
Well,
really all we
and is
can do.
anything really solid?
Mhm.
Right? If we
Mm-mm.
really think about that, is
Mm-mm.
anything really solid? Nothing
No, not when
is,
you get
because
into the
you can get
quantum
through it,
level. Yeah.
right? It's all about molecules and atoms.
Even smaller than that, it's mostly about empty space.
Right. And it's
So,
still, even those aren't solid molecules and atoms. That's what
mm-mm.
I'm saying, right? Like it's
No, you got quarks and you got all kinds of leptins and lectins. I can't remember what they're called. And you've got all these other things. I mean, that's what CERN's about, right? Splitting the atom down to its smaller and smaller and smaller
yeah.
components.
And
So there's that too.
plus with the energy, we all know that Tesla, and this is my opinion, that he is no longer here because they didn't want him to show the world that there was an abundance of energy and we didn't need all these, like, not necessarily like all the things that we use today. I'm not going to
Mhm.
put a pin on any one thing. Like literally it's in the air and you like go like that and you could light something if you really wanted to. But no one's able to
Absolutely.
harness it because his work was destroyed.
Yeah. Or hidden at least.
Right.
And so that's the other thing. I think that once they blow the lid, and no wonder they're keeping everything suppressed. But I think once they blow the lid off the whole UAP non-human intelligence thing, they're going to blow the lid off of free energy. They're going to blow the lid off religion. They're going to blow the lid off politics. It's all going to blow, and it's going to be, I think, messy
It's
for a
going to be
while.
interesting.
Yeah. So that's
But
why I always encourage people to look after their health so that you can get through all this. Go ahead, Joan. Sorry.
will they truly unearth it all? Or will they take like a pen, right, and go and then
You all
everyone
forget.
resets, right? Like
Maybe, maybe.
it's one of those things, right? And when you start to awaken, they can no longer take that pen and detonate it, so you can't not remember it anymore. And that's the whole point where people don't, the powers of be, don't want you to have that knowledge. If you will, it would be like everyone's the wife from the early century, and the more knowledgeable she got, they didn't like it. They would deem her a witch or something,
Mm-hmm.
so they could unalive her, right? But that's like today, where they don't want every, you have to stay in line essentially. And once you start going out of those boundaries, then yeah. Yes, Max, it's like you're a wife. Like the old school thinking is, hey, don't, you're not allowed to have too many ideas and thoughts because you're going into a dangerous zone. And if you defy me, right,
Mhm.
the powers of be, if you defy them, then they have to deal with you and they don't want to.
You know, what's really similar to that analogy is the modern day slaves, which was only a couple
Correct.
hundred years ago in North America, and they wouldn't let them read because if they read, they'd learn, and if they learned, they wouldn't keep the belief systems of the masters. And I think we're seeing that happen again now. Yeah, but things are really coming to a head. It's going to be exciting. I don't
Right?
know.
Because people are going, no, I've had enough of this. I've had enough. There's like
Yeah,
a revolt, right? And it's
yeah.
like, no, I've had enough, right? Just like Max is saying, it's like, no, I'm not a wife. You're right. Because everyone wants to be that, you know, I need to see. And it's not necessarily seeing is believing, but
Mhm.
it's me doing the research so I can understand. I'm not going to blindly just take what you have to say because trust me, bro, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not that anymore. You might have been
Mhm.
able to get away with that in the 60s, 70s, possibly 80s. In the
Mhm.
90s is when we were starting to shift a little bit,
Mhm.
right? Where people wouldn't allow themselves to be shoved. And literally today, I still feel like, even though it's not outright said of slavery, we still have it.
Well, we have wage slaves now, so
Correct.
but that's we could do a whole episode on that coming up too. I notice we're quickly running out of time. Joan,
Yes,
do you want to take some time, tell people what you're up to, where they can find you, all that kind of good stuff?
sure. Well, I've officially got my podcast going. So it's still called Journey with Joan. I've had it. The new links will be at the bottom. And you can find me on my website, www.joanwiden.com. And again, YouTube, my handle there is Joan Widen, Clairvoyant Medium. And I'm also doing another podcast, which is totally different. And I don't know how to do it, which will be interesting because I've been asked to share scripture and talk about it. So and it's not going to be Bible studies. I'm going to tell you that it is completely not going to be that. I'm going to read excerpts out of it, and then I'm going to say, this is what I get spiritually, what this is about. Okay, so Karen, tell
Interesting.
us all about you, what you're doing, where you are.
Well, tomorrow on the Quantum Guide Show, I'm interviewing a man who assists people who have been um, abused through satanic ritual abuse, helps them to
Wow.
get out of their situations and to recover. And then on Sunday, I have, sorry, I forgot his name, or I would say it. Randy Goodwin tomorrow. Sunday, I'm having Michael Estrella back, and he has had a very interesting relationship with a specific group of what we call the Greys that live under the Sandia Mountains in New Mexico, and they actually help him to produce music, rock music. So he has
Oh,
created an album with the help of these non-human intelligent beings. And we're going to hear all about that on Sunday. And of course, you can find me on all platforms at Karen Holton TV. And all the audios are under the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton if you're looking for me there. So that's pretty much what I'm busy doing, always looking beyond the veil, ever curious, wanting to see what's
I'm
going
going to
on.
tell you, Karen, those are like really cool things. That sounds really, I love it.
Yeah, so I should also tell the audience if you've had experiences with non-human intelligences or been, gotten out of satanic ritual abuse or anything that's outside of the box, contact me, send me an email if you'd like to be on the show. But I'll tell you who's not welcome on my show are people who are part of a specific religious affiliation and want to push that agenda. So for instance, there's lots of UFO cults out there. There's just seems to be no end to cults, and I'm not looking to promote any cults. We're all in this together, and we're all valuable for what we know and what we've been through. I don't argue with people. I don't try to disprove them or debunk them. Their stories are their stories, and it's up to the audience to take what you want, leave the rest. Spirit often interacts with the shows so that I don't have any idea what we're going to talk about, and then it just happens. And I know that something in the show is just right for somebody out there. And so that's why Joan and I are doing this, because
Absolutely.
we want people to basically be well on every level. Do you want to add to that, Joan, before we
Yeah,
go?
and I just want to say that we have our discussions, but it's a safe space, and we want to create a safe space for everyone. But if you have your own agenda, it's kind of hard, because then they end up silencing other people that
Yeah.
generally have like wanting to understand or learn or just feel safe and welcomed, right? And that being said, if you guys have a topic you want us to discuss on the Unseen
Mhm.
Nexus, you know, let us know. Email us,
Mhm.
message us, and we will do that,
And
right?
all the links will be below in the description. So even if you're listening to this on an audio, you can still go to the description when it's safe to do so, not while you're driving, but whatever.
Right.
And email Joan or email me. And we both have websites. So and we both offer services and products and things. So please do support our work. And I want to thank all of you who have sent super chats and channel memberships, and and bought products. Thank you so much to everybody. So I guess that's it for the show. Any closing comments, Joan, before we close out
The
today?
only thing I just want to address, like Max, it says what agenda? It's a self-serving. Like if someone comes and they have a self-serving agenda, really,
Mhm.
that's all that we are saying. Keep that to you, because again, this is a safe space for everyone. We want to invite everyone to have a safe discussion. We want this to be of love and on a high vibration. So thank you everyone for joining us today.
Yes, thank you. And much love to each and every one of you. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. And we'll see you in 2 weeks for another episode of the Unseen Nexus. And we're going to talk about angels and angel contact. So that's going to be lots of fun. Hope you're back for that. Bye, everybody.